After about 15 hours of travel, we are finally in Uyuni. We took the Panasur night bus, which is extremely comfortable, highly recommend it. It's pretty much like you're sitting on a lazy boy that fully reclines. It's incredible. Slept like a baby, which I normally don't, but now we are in Uyuni and we're gonna be going to see the salt flats. It's currently 6:30 in the morning. We have a pretty busy day ahead of us. The tour starts at 10 o'clock and then it ends at 7:30 p.m. And then I catch another night bus back to La Paz at 9 p.m. So it's gonna be a long day. But we're gonna be seeing some things like the train graveyard, as well as some other structures made out of the salt. And the main thing that I'm here for is the big watery puddle flats, I guess. I don't know what to call it, but it is rainy season, so there should be a lot of water, which means we're gonna get a lot of reflections, which is the main reason why I'm here. So yeah, looking forward to that. And right now, we're just gonna have some breakfast and be on our way. All right, we have just made it to the first stop, which is the train graveyard, which is actually only like 3 minutes outside of the city. It's not in the salt flats yet, but this place is pretty neat. The history behind this train graveyard is that the trains here were used for mining. It used to cross the flats over here, not the flats, but it used to cross this desert area, and they would mine various minerals from the mountains. But once the mining corporation stopped mining, they just kind of left the trains in place and just never touched them, never maintained it or took them away or anything. They just left them to die. And now everything is all gutted and whatnot, and all the resources have been taken by the people of Uyuni, just because it's a very poor place here. But now these trains are just left here to rust and rot, but it has been pretty cool. The sad thing about Uyuni in general is they don't maintain the tourism. Like, the salt flats are kind of degrading, and I feel like they don't really appreciate tourism here. The people are not very friendly. They don't really acknowledge you when you walk by or when you speak to them. That's just been our experience, and we just heard from some other travelers that they had the same experience as well. But it's still a really cool place that you should definitely visit. And in 2 years, the salt flats may not be here because they might start exporting the salt from the flats itself. So it's now or never. Just stopped at stop number 2 right before we get to the flats. So this here that you can see is actually a structure made completely out of salt. If you can see the brown lines have formed because there hasn't been much rain in those years, but wherever there is white lines, that's where they've had a lot of rainfall, which is pretty interesting. But to formulate the bricks are just like cut out of the ground, and then they just place them into a house structure, and people actually live here and work here. The salt flats itself have not been industrialized yet, but there's a few families that are allowed to mine from it and actually live here in these compounds, and they process the salt and whatnot right over there. And those are the only people that are currently working here on the salt flats and mining it to export for food, but that's pretty much it. Pretty interesting to see a structure built completely out of salt. All right, so we're stopping to have lunch in a building completely made of salt, which is just crazy. The walls, the table, literally everything.
Muy loco.
Muy loco. The seats, stools, even the food is all salt. No, I'm kidding. We'll see what's yet to come. It turned out to be a steak with quinoa and some veggies on the side, but it wasn't any ordinary steak. It was actually a llama, which I didn't know you could eat because in Peru it's prohibited. It's a protected animal, but you can eat alpaca, which I've had, which is pretty good. But honestly, llama was, I hate to say it, fantastic. And like, llamas are probably my favorite animal. But yeah, it was delicious. I would say it's a little bit better than beef, if I'm being honest. I do feel a little guilty, but that's what they eat here. It's the local food, and it was the only option we had. And it's common food apparently, so yeah. When you're in Bolivia, you can have llama. And now we are off to stop number 3, the salt flats. Okay, we have arrived, and I cannot open my eyes. This place is probably brighter than the sun. If you come here, word of advice, don't get a hat, buy sunglasses. I just bought this hat, complete waste. Glasses would have been great. I am practically blind here. Can't even see the camera in front of me. But this place is absolutely surreal. This is for something so plain and vast, it's absolutely incredible. And on top of that, this isn't even like the whitest spot. We're going to the other better spots right now, but we just stopped at this little flag area. And these pools over here are actually geysers because there's a couple volcanoes surrounding here. As you can see right down there, that's one of the volcanoes. And way over there, it's another volcano, which leads to this land having some geysers due to the temperature of the core. But this place in general, in total, sorry, is 2,000 square kilometers. And can't even fathom how big that is. Apparently there used to be more piles of sand, kind of like little pyramids almost. Not actual pyramids, but like piles of sand, little hills, that they have actually flattened using machines over the course of many, many years. So it wasn't always this flat, but there were little mounds, that's the word, kind of like that way over there. Now we're gonna check out the geysers. What do you think? So people come here to shower in the water, not shower, but like dip themselves in the water and wash themselves in the water because it's said to cure arthritis because it's 10 times saltier than the ocean and apparently brings good health benefits. I'm not too sure how accurate that is. I'd have to fact check that, but yeah, let's see what this feels like. Oh, it's cold. It's very cold.
Yeah.
What? I thought it was gonna be hot. Interesting. Mini geyser. I said that you could try it as well. Let's see what this tastes like.
10 times.
Oh.
Come on.
Jeez. He said to try it. Worse than I expected. Not at all. It's way worse than you expect.
Too much, you know? Like that.
Yeah. I had a handful. He said try it with a finger. My lips are dry from that. Jeez.
That's it. You can die.
Don't taste it.
Yeah.
So as I do with glaciers, I go into the glacier water. I think it's only natural that I dip myself into this geyser water. So let's take a dip. Let's see how this feels. That one looks a little bit deeper, but I don't know the relevance that the volcanoes have with the geysers. Well, I guess up here is kind of cold. This is kind of nice. It's refreshing. This is super cool. I feel my arthritis is leaving. Step in it. So once you're here, you also have the option to take some pictures with some toys that look to be life-size because the ground is so flat, so you just work the angles. And if you have an awesome group like mine, we've been having a blast. Also, if you didn't bring any toys with you, don't worry. They have an abundance of things that you can use. They cost you 10 Bolivianos and you get 6 pictures. And that's how it's done. It's surprisingly fun. I thought it was gonna be a little bit lame, but it's actually such a blast. We're having such a great time here. So fun. Okay, so we just arrived to the next part of the salt flat with the natural formations that have been formed by the wind, just like the geysers were formed by the volcanoes that are around here. You have these odd structures. I don't know how wind built this, but just kind of did. Fully out of sand. Even has a functioning clock on the other side. I don't know where the batteries came from, but yeah, Mother Nature is a powerful thing. Yeah, it's pretty cool. These are all structures that are just constructed out of salt, just like the building I showed previously. And it is 10 Bolivianos to enter. If you can hear me, we came to take some pictures in the water because it looks like a giant mirror, but the storm's picking up and we're heading back to the car because this is just ridiculous. So I don't even know if we're gonna make anything out of this or if you can hear me, but this was our attempt at finally catching the water and the sunset, which I don't think we're gonna make. So I think we're gonna miss the sunset because it began as a rainstorm and over the course of like 4 minutes, it just turned into an extreme hailstorm to the point where we can't even see. So I think this is the end of our journey. Yeah. Unless it passes by miraculously in the next 20 minutes. But we're driving towards the sunlight, but yeah, there's nothing to be seen.
There's no condensation on that window. You just can't see through it. That's how heavy this is. Insane. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.